Welcome back to another episode where today we are going to be diving into another one of my favorite topics, the manifestation experiment. If manifestation is something that you have found to be a little bit of a challenge, which I absolutely did probably the majority of my life, then today's episode really has the potential to radically transform your life and really give you some very clear practical understanding and wisdom that you can start applying to your life today to start building towards your dreams. Today, you're going to get a chance to meet another one of my closest friends. I just have to say, I'm so blessed. I am surrounded by some of the most amazing human beings on planet Earth, and you're going to get a chance to meet another one of them today. Her name is Alessandra, but I call her Allie. And she is somebody that I actually met through my work. And instantly we just really connected, realized we were soul family, and have been really exploring much deeper the power of manifestation. And she's been a really, really great teacher for me. She came into my life right at the time where I started realizing and understanding that I was creating bigger magical things in my life that maybe didn't have a solid foundation or real understanding of how exactly I was getting the results I was getting, at least not in a way that I think I could have taught somebody else to replicate. I was still very early on in my journey. And getting to know her and really witnessing how she lived her life and watching her manifest one thing after another to the point where I was on the outside in going, wow, this girl is living the dream life. Like, she's living the life that everybody wants. And I need to really study what it is that she's doing that's so different. And to just really help me fine tune my manifestation skills, because as you'll hear in the episode, it is a series of skills. And that's actually really great news, because I think so many of us have just gotten lost in the esoteric understandings and maybe haven't been able to pull through and ground new realities for ourselves, just being unaware of what the pieces are that we might be missing. So as far as I know, I think we covered all of them in this episode, and she really walks us through a very practical, step-by-step approach of what it looks like to live the lifestyle of a powerful manifester. And I'm really, really excited to share this episode with you guys, because I think anything that might be missing, any piece of the puzzle, you'll find the key that you're looking for today. And at the very least, you'll get a chance to meet somebody who is going to deeply inspire you to think bigger, to dream bigger, to open your heart and trust the universe and help you manifest the life of your dreams. So here we go. Welcome back, Envisionaries, to the Dream Into Being podcast, where mind science, transformational psychology, and magic all merge into one. If you're ready to dream again and transcend the inertia of what you've known, then I invite you to join me, your host and Envisioneer, Kat Divine, in expanding the boundaries of your own Fantasia by remembering that you are the master you've been waiting for. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Dream Into Being podcast. And today we are going to take a deeper dive into one of my favorite topics ever, the manifestation experiment. And I want to introduce you guys to somebody who is so special to me. Her name is Alessandra, but I call her Allie. And we actually met through work projects. And we've just developed such an amazing friendship. And I've really learned so much from you, Allie, about the practical nature of manifestation. And it's just a topic I've been incredibly fascinated by. I've been researching it and trying to understand it and develop it in myself from so many different angles. And witnessing you and how you create your life, I can see that you are such a master at this. So I'm really, really excited to have you on the show so that you can share with all of our listeners really practical examples and tips on how you live your life every day, because it's like something that we do as a lifestyle. And we're just going to kind of take a trip down memory lane of maybe where you started and what your mindset was way back before I knew you, and then kind of fast forward back to now. So before we start that, though, I want to do things a little bit differently on this show, where I think one thing that so many of us forget to do is to celebrate ourselves. And so I could, go deeper into your bio, but what I would like to do instead is I would love to just do a mini brag session where you share a little bit about you and what you're super proud of about your life, kind of through the lens of manifestation. And then once you're done, I will wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction, Kat. Thank you for having me. It's very exciting, and I'm very proud of being part of these with you. And okay, so I'm Alessandra. I just turned 40, and it's like a milestone that was kind of bothering me until it happened. But now it's like, well, it's kind of the same or even better than before.
Right.
And I'm Italian. And I basically spent my whole life in Italy doing what everyone is supposed to do. Because this is like a little bit of a key concept. I was taught from my family, from my culture, that you have to born in a place, grow there, find a job, buy a house, get married, have kids, and then work in this kind of same place until you are retired. And then you have all the retirement benefits and your life is done. So your main achievement in life is to go through all these steps.
Yeah.
And then at one point you find yourself that your only goal is to have this retirement when you are too old to enjoy your free time. And even if you have money at that point, you don't have the energy and you basically wasted your whole life.
Right.
But, I'm Italy is kind of like a very strong cultural related. And this was my only model, my only benchmark. So I did it for a while. I was born in Torino, which is in the north of Italy. My family are from the south of Italy, so it's even stronger related to the culture. And I did all the steps. I was going to the school. I was the first of my class, always I've always been very committed to whatever I do. So when I do something, it's always my 150% or even more. So I was always the best one. I was always studying so hard. And I did many things on the same time. Yeah. I was going to the high school, but also studying music at the conservatory. And then I was riding horses. I was doing a lot of artistic stuff on the side. And my life was always very, very busy, very, very busy. So when I reached I finished my basic educational journey, and I decided to start the university. But at the same time, since my mom was oh, you have to find a job, maybe just a part-time job to see how it goes. And, the connection with my mom is kind of love and hate. So sometimes in order not to hear her voice, keeping telling me things, I do whatever she asks.
Yeah.
So I look for a job, and I found a job, actually. I found a job which was a bank job. So a serious one, not even a part-time.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to go to the university. So I did both things at the same time. So for me, starting from my my life was waking up early in the morning, going to work in the bank, and in the afternoon after working, it was studying for the university until late night. So this was my useless. So like, the best part of your life, what is supposed to be the best part of your life is like working, 8 hours a day, be committed to a very big, important company, and then going to going back home and open like these huge books about like economics and like mathematics and prepare exams. So this was my amazing journey for like work and study. And then I got my first degree after the first 3 years. And then I was not satisfied yet. And I got a second degree because, I at that point I was in the loop. I was in the mood. I was like, oh, maybe I can have another one. I can do it. So I got my second degree. And meanwhile, I grew in the company. So when I started in the bank, I was a cashier. So it was like just like managing money, like cash, properly cash. But then once I got my first degree, I proactively went to the HR manager and was like, well, I had a degree now, so can I do something more interesting? And then I did like some internal growing, and I moved to the marketing department of the bank. And and there I met like who I consider my mentor, my ex-boss, now ex-boss. And I really had a fantastic journey in terms of like work ethic, attitude, the way I like to manage a challenge. So most of the things that I know and that now I can apply in my actual job, they come from there, from him. And he is still like the person that I love the most in the whole world. So if you want a tip, starting like right away,
yes,
please. If you find someone in your life that can be a guide for you, that you really look at as a mentor, follow this person and keep it in your life, because there will always be someone that has more experience than you. And if you feel this connection, because it's not only like, oh, he's an amazing businessman. No, he's a fantastic soul. So when you see and you are so lucky, because it's also a matter of being lucky or maybe attracting the right energy. When you find someone that can really, really help you and that you look at like someone that can give you advice and follow you in your journey, in your growth, keep it in your life. It's, for me, was a game changer. And still now, after 6 years that I moved from there, we are almost on a daily contact.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, that must be like a soul contract or something, because I think you're absolutely right. I think human beings, we learn through modeling, like through our mirror neurons. We're constantly watching each other to get cues and information of how to show up in our lives. And so it's very important to be mindful of who we have surrounding us, because we will end up like them. It's very, very subconscious. And what a blessing that you manifested that maybe even before you knew what manifesting was, right? So also, before we miss this opportunity, I think one of the things that I was so excited about speaking to you specifically about is, like I said, I've been looking at this topic through so many different lenses, and I know a lot of spiritual minded content is out there that really promotes the idea of manifesting your reality through thoughts and feelings alone. And not that that's not possible, because I think anything's possible. However, I've also witnessed radical transformations in my own life when I started to learn the practical side of things, which it sounds like you mastered back then. So if you don't mind sharing what some of those practical things are, almost like if you're a big sister, telling your siblings how to show up and how to be successful in life, like this is gold in ways that whoever is lucky enough to come in contact with this interview is going to change their life. I know it.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, back at the time when I was in Italy working in the bank, I was not even like aware of what manifestation or even like meditation was. And, you know, even Italian culture is very pragmatic, especially when you like grow in a big city where like no one has time to meditate or like take care of their inner self.
Yeah.
It's really, I know it sounds crazy, but like the rhythm and all the challenge that a big city and a culture environment can give to you. Like at the end, you barely have time to have dinner with your family sometimes.
Yes.
So I was never into this kind of thing. So whatever I did at that time probably was kind of subconscious and in preparation of like my next step.
Yeah.
But what can I say in terms of like proactively doing to reach your goals? And like maybe this is also a way to attract the positive energy. It's like if you have a goal, if you want to achieve something, you need to stay committed and you don't give up as soon as you have the first problem, as soon as you have like the first obstacle. Mm-hmm. And again, surround yourself with the right people. When you have like a good team around you and you are happy to share your precious time, because like, you know, time is limited. Right. And when you spend like 10 hours a day in an environment that is disruptive, or like with negative people, or with people that you don't really enjoy having time with, right, it's a problem. So as much as possible, because it's not always your choice. You can't always like pick your colleagues or like the people around you, but as much as possible, try to have the environment that allows you to be yourself and to be positive and to learn. Again, my mentor, one tip that he gave me very often, it was like, you have to be a sponge. You have to absorb whatever is around you, positive and negative, because the negative will teach you and the positive will bring you up. So be a sponge, be there, have always open ears and open eyes, and be ready to receive. Then your soul and your heart will decide, like, what I want to keep with me. I received this. Do I want to keep it with me? Is like valuable or is like disruptive? Do I want to let it go so I learn why I don't want to have this in my life? Or shall I keep it with me and bring it to the next level? So even like talking to you now, I realized that I had this like all this path about like manifestation that I didn't realize at the time.
Isn't that amazing? And you know, what's funny is I don't think you and I have ever even really talked about like in detail, at least, our spiritual awakenings or what that transition point was. So kind of one of the things that I really want to explore on this show is like pulling the curtain back and sharing with people like very authentically and transparently, maybe where we were with our mindset before we made some transitions. So did you have any challenges as far as opening up your mind to like everything that you thought was possible? Like, is that kind of where you started and then there was a transition point, maybe some kind of an awakening? Okay, so take us through that adventure.
My transition was not fun, to be honest. Because after 15 years in the bank job, which was amazing, I learned a lot and I met this fantastic person and other good person that I'm in contact still now. I got burnout at one point because my life was always rushy. It was always like go to school, go to conservatory, and then like study and then work and then deal with my mom. I'm an only child, by the way. So it was like, you know, even the family life was kind of like focused on me. I got burnout and it was a very bad one. And I didn't realize it was a burnout. I started to have like panic attacks, anxiety. And I was supposed to be in the best part of my life because at the time I had like a good job. On paper, I was in the best situation ever. A good job with a good salary. I bought a house in the meantime. I renovated and furnished a full apartment in Italy. I was 28 at the time, 29 kind of. I got a boyfriend and we were like so in love and we were planning to get married. And I started to have like all this panic attack. And at first I thought like, I'm dying for a heart attack. Maybe something is wrong with me. And I didn't understand what was going on. And all my exams were perfect. My blood level was perfect. Nothing was wrong with me, but I couldn't sleep. I had like all these fears of nothing, and I never had that kind of feeling before.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I kind of tried to ignore it, and I gave myself even more challenges. I was like working even harder, and like having all my time like scheduled, and it was too much. So my body collapsed. So I started like to have this very bad depression. I couldn't go out. I was like having anxiety, even like going to the supermarket. It was horrible. But I know that I knew that traveling for me is always like a way to cure myself. So I started to travel a little bit more, having more vacations at the time with my boyfriend. And it was okay. It was kind of improving the situation. But then a last drop fell into the vase because I found out that my boyfriend was cheating on me badly, very badly. And we were 6 months apart from our wedding date. So that was the point. So I kicked him out from my house, and I spent 10 months crying, literally crying for 10 months. Yeah. I couldn't sleep in my bed. I was like, I want to die. Then I don't know how. I can't give any tips on that. One morning, out of the blue, something clicked in my mind. I was like, wait a moment. I am in my 30s. I am smart. I can do whatever I want alone. I don't need anyone. I don't need a man. I don't even need like a job now. I need to take care of myself. Yeah. What should I do next? So I went to visit my friend, a very good friend of mine who lives in Sri Lanka. Again, somehow he was one of the reasons I decided to move to Thailand, because he had a similar story to mine. He was in Italy running a business. He got burned out. He sold the business and he moved to Sri Lanka. He bought a land, a piece of the beach, actually, and he opened a resort in Sri Lanka. So I was like, okay, I'm coming to visit you. And I took my backpack and I went to Sri Lanka for 3 weeks, like solo trip. And it was like life-changing. I visited him and I saw him like shining. I saw him like, oh my God, this is the best life ever. And then I came back to Italy after 3 weeks and, my brain started to figure out like, maybe I can do something similar. But I still was like not brave enough because, again, you have this box that you are like supposed to fit in, stay home, work hard, and then that's it. Yeah. So it was hard. That moment was hard because it was a proper transition. Shall I stay here and do what my family expect from me, or shall I follow my heart and like be the crazy one who leaves a proper job, a house, and everything, and move in the unknown? It was hard. It was a long time, like thinking, rethinking, crying, and talking with friends, talking with my mentor. And actually, my mentor at one point told me, you know what? Just go. It's like, there is no reason why you have to keep staying here thinking. Just do it. If you don't like it, you come back. Somehow the universe works out always something for you. And just by chance, I found on Facebook an advertising for a job in Chiang Mai for Italian native speaker. And it was like, I've never been to Chiang Mai, by the way, north of Thailand. Never been to Chiang Mai, never been to Thailand, but I like Asia. Let's give it a try. Yes. So I applied for that job, which was a call center job. So 1,000 steps back in my career. But that was not the point. My point was to have a chance, to have access to a different experience in a different country without being too crazy. I didn't want to do the jump without a parachute. Yeah. So I prefer, this is also part of the way I am. I prefer to have like at least a door open for like having a job, having an income instead of like just leaving. A lot of people do it. A lot of people just like, oh, I quit my job and I moved to another country with my backpack. It's like, well, okay, I don't know if I feel confident in this. So I didn't. I found a job. I moved to Chiang Mai with 10 kilos clothes in my luggage and with the idea of staying here for 6 months.
That's amazing.
That didn't happen because now it's 6 years.
I was going to ask, that was 6 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I like how I actually prefer your strategy as well. And I think it's because I I spend a lot of time with like personal development courses and seminars, and there was a lot of energy on kind of pushing people off of cliffs to change their life. And that's one way to do it. But I also noticed, especially coming from where you were in burnout, like nervous system dysregulation and panic and anxiety, like I don't think that's the kind thing to do to ourselves. And I don't think it's in alignment with our well-being. And in fact, when I've ever done that to myself, it's almost like the fear takes over. And all I think about is survival. And I can't even really create anything powerful from that space. So I just want to like reiterate that to anybody who might be listening to Allie's story right now, that you really don't have to jump off of cliffs, even though in some ways you completely changed your life, but you did it in this very like loving, kind way to your nervous system and to your mental health. And I think that was why you ended up being so incredibly successful, because you transplanted yourself and then you were able to still thrive, probably sooner than later.
And, you know, now after like some experience with all the manifestation process, whatever, it's not the same for everyone. So there is not the perfect recipe and say like, oh, you know what, you just jump from the cliff and then something will happen. It's not really this way, because we still need to be connected with the reality. Yes. And if you end up in, as I said, you're in burnout and you do like a jump, like maybe bigger than your body and your mind is ready to do, then you find yourself in dangerous situation. Maybe you're alone. And I mean, when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. Like Thailand is a very welcoming place, but still, if you are not clear, your mind is not clear to take care of yourself, you can end up in dangerous situation everywhere in the world. So yes. I think everyone needs to understand that even when you want to do a big change in your life, you still need to do it like your own style, your own way, a way that make you feel safe. Yeah. And for me, that I started working at 19, not having a job was super scary. I would never move here like, oh, let's see what comes. Yeah, I had saving, but money, you know, runs very fast.
Yeah.
So, so everything started with this like call center job, and it was, for my nervous system, was fantastic because it was such a basic job that allowed me to think about myself. Yes. And about like my priorities for that moment. So I started to explore Chamai. I got in contact with a lot of meditation and manifestation groups here, because Chamai, for who on your audience doesn't know, like Chamai is the perfect place when you want to start an inner work. Yeah. Because Thailand is very, very spiritual, and Chamai specifically is very focused on spirituality, meditation, retreats, and so on and forth. So here there is like a huge community of any kind of journey for your soul or for your mind. So if you want to experience something nice, I highly suggest at least a trip to Thailand, specifically to Chiang Mai, because the vibes here are unique. I can tell you, everyone, like you can feel it in the air. You can smell the different way that people think about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I want to touch on what you shared about, this is so good, Allie. Okay. So I think another thing that people can get stuck on is when they're learning this new way of like opening their mind and expanding. It's like we almost go to this place where the visions of grandeur are so big that we're almost afraid to be small in the right ways. And I'm going through this myself of like making some big changes in my life that are requiring a lot of simplicity so that I can have my time and energy back to do the things that I want to do, instead of making the transition so difficult that I burn out and I get drained. And so I loved what you said about, even though the call center was 10 steps backwards, that it wasn't. Like, it was exactly that shift of energy and consciousness so that you could start to rebuild yourself and rebuild your life from there. So that's something I really wanted to make sure to touch on, because I think it's so hard for our ego sometimes to like think that we're going backwards. And I just want to reassure everybody who's listening that if you're moving towards the bigger picture, the smaller steps back just don't matter. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can still do it. Okay, so let's fast forward maybe a little bit to kind of when you and I met. So that was, let's see, early last year. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So about a year and a half ago. And at that time, yeah, it was just like such like spiritual connection right away. It was really, I think it's so amazing, right? When you meet your soul family and you're like, oh, I found my soul sister. And I think right away we started having these kinds of conversations, like we still had some business chit chat, but instantly I saw something in you. This was like such a bright light. And I started watching and paying attention to how you functioned, because immediately I had so much respect for you. And immediately I saw, whoa, I have so much to learn. Like, you have been in the working world way longer than me. Like, I took a long break for health reasons. And then you kind of met me when I was just a couple years back in. And so you probably were one of the first examples to me of like, okay, this is how you show up to stand out of the crowd and to create whatever you want in your own life. And so there were certain things that I witnessed about you that were so consistent. So that's number one, was consistency. Like, you were, even when you were maybe having a hard time or a bad day or feeling tired or overwhelmed, there was still this consistent, vibrant level of clarity and vibrancy to your inner world and to your heart and to your mission, and the way that you're committed to the company that you work for right now, the way that you're committed to the customers of the company. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing, actually. I don't know that I've ever witnessed that level of integrity and commitment. And then the other thing is commitment right there, is that it is making a choice, a clear choice to show up and put all of your energy, like going all in. So that's another piece of the puzzle that it took me a while to figure this out. Like, I think when people are manifesting, sometimes, again, if it's all these ideas, we can jump and jump and jump and keep trying so many different things and never really being with something long enough for it to mature. Anyways, I met you at that perfect moment in my life where I really was calling in more guides and more teachers and friends in my life that I could learn from. And then you magically appeared, and I consistently think of you. Anytime I think of like how I want to run my business and how I want to show up, you're at the top of that list of people that I model, people that I model after. So I do want to touch a little bit on, like, I think at that time, there was also some sort of like a spiritual opening within you of like, so I met you at that point and I was already blown away by you. And then as our friendship continued, you just started like really transforming your life in big, big ways that are so inspiring. So I would love for you to share with the audience what some of those things were, and maybe what some of the shifts in you had taken place.
Yeah. So the call center didn't last long. It was only 6 months. And then internally in that company, I became the HR manager, just to understand how I jumped then to the new company. Then after 3 years and a half, I was kind of, let me say, bored again of like what was going on in my life. And I was considering to go back to Italy. But out of the blue, I got contacted by my actual company, Recharge Health, they were looking for an HR manager to basically kickstart the company itself, because at that time Recharge was like 3 people working in a garage.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I love it.
This was March 2021. In February 2021. So they reach out through LinkedIn. I don't even check LinkedIn because I was not looking for a job. And then someone found me like on the back way and was like, hey, did you check LinkedIn? Like, the CEO of this company wants to talk to you because he's looking for an HR manager. I was like, oh, I don't check LinkedIn. But then I checked LinkedIn and I had this conversation with the management of Recharge Health of that time, and they offered me a job as an HR manager for a very good salary and with a big challenge. And I like challenge, unfortunately. No, I'm very happy to like challenge. I like challenges. And I was like, well, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
And that was the start of everything. So what created in me the transformation was the fact that I knew I was responsible for a whole team of people that were relying on me for their daily job, for their salary, and for paying the bills and stuff. And as an HR manager, your first responsibility is to take care of your team, make them grow, make them like comfortable, happy, and so on and forth. So I kind of felt this mission as soon as I joined the company. And again, when I do something, I do it with all I have, with my soul, with my heart, with my brain. So that was the first quite practical thing, because at the end it's practical. But also I really embrace the mission of the company. So the company is about improving life for people out there with a technology that normally is not for everyone. So this is the concept that we have behind. And as more as I was like diving in through all the information with Dr. Zulia, that you know very well, and all like the fact that we are like really bringing value to people's life. We are not just selling crap because we want to run a business.
Right.
Then my heart felt like this connection with the company. So my commitment with the company is not the commitment with the paycheck. It's a commitment with the mission and with what we really can do for everyone out there. So, and when you connect your heart and your brain with what you're doing on a daily basis for 10 to 12 hours a day, that is the point when you don't even need to plan, oh, now I need to show up because it's my part of my duty. You do it. And that's why I think you felt this kind of good energy between me and you, because when we do things with the heart, starting from the heart, not from the paycheck.
Yes.
And this is also what I'm trying to teach to my team. I don't want anyone in my team just coming for check-in, check-out, and then like, oh, the salary is paid, fine. No, we need to stay committed. We need to work as a team, always. And even the high management, at one point, if we need to pack all together, we pack all together. We put on some music, we buy pizza, and we pack.
I know you guys are like a family unit. It's really special what you guys have created. I didn't realize that you started when it was that small. Oh my gosh. And to where you guys are now, it's been so fun for me to witness the ride and like really kind of get a backstage pass to what it takes to have a thriving company. You know, all the ups and downs. You guys, as entrepreneurs, anybody who hasn't done it or hasn't worked behind the scenes, it's like a constant daily recommitment to the vision and to the mission.
It's a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes it can be frustrating because you can be there and you are here because of like all the practical and bureaucracy, and like whatever is like everyone who has a business knows. But then if you don't give up and you believe in what you're doing, because this is the key, you need to believe what you're doing. If you don't believe yourself, there's nothing you can do to make it work. So first of all, believe in what you're doing and go like with an open mind, and believe that the universe somehow will help you at one point. But then like when you reach that point, it's like, oh, I did it. Like, it's so rewarding. I'm so worthy.
I know. And I've witnessed you do this in so many areas of your life, which we'll hop into next. And yeah, you guys, Allie lives the dream life, like truly. Like she lives in a beautiful home with a pool in Thailand, and she travels. I think there was a time that you were traveling almost once a month to different locations, and you probably still do that. You completely transformed your health and your body, and you manifested horses into your life. So I want to get into all of that because I want people to see how manifestation simply is, in so many ways, it's a skill that you just continue to build and build. And once you approach everything in your life in that same fashion, all of a sudden you find yourself in your dream life. And I want people to see you as this living example that it's so possible because of where you came from, all the challenges that you had to go through. And yeah, just kind of walk everybody through, I guess, like the last year or so, how all of those things came to be.
Yeah. I've never been that conscious about my body and my health, to be honest. And I was always kind of lucky because I never had like touching wood. I never had like big issue with my health. And I was kind of in a decent shape, even though I always had like good food on my table because I'm Italian and, you know, it's easy for me to cook myself and so on and forth. But like, you know, time passed and your body changed and your metabolism changed. So at one point, when like work was going super great, I was like super happy. And I rented this house with like a fantastic pool. And then again, something was bothering me. And I was like, what is bothering me now? Like, and I realized it was like, I was not happy with my body in terms of appearance. And I know it sounds superficial, but I was like not confident to go out and like to dress in a certain way. I live in a tropical climate where you basically like half naked the whole day. So it was like, I don't like what I see in the mirror. And I was also kind of closing myself like in a corner, like, I want to stay home. I don't want to show up. I just go to work. But I knew it didn't work. It cannot work long term. So I joined a group here in Chiang Mai, a group of girls that I didn't know at all on Facebook. And this group, they always organize like dinner to create community and networking. Awesome. So I joined this group and they wrote a post like, oh, there is a dinner tonight. Who wants to join? We'll be there at this time, this restaurant. Okay, let's go. Nice. So I like forced myself to put myself together and like show up. I went to this dinner. I met this fantastic group of girls, entrepreneur and social media managers, and like girls with like a lot of power and like experience. And I connected very well with some of them, especially with 2 or 3 that are still like part of my inner group now. Yeah. After a year, let's say 1 year. And another person who is my personal trainer now. So I saw this like cute, very little girl, but like full of muscle, powerful woman from California, by the way. And we connected. We started to chit chat. She was, yeah, I'm a personal trainer. And I was like, I never stepped into a gym in my whole life. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, oh, well, you should try. Like, you know, your body is like, I think your body will react very well because if you've never done it, you will shock it. So as soon as you start like doing like small baby steps, your body will react. And I was like, oh, no, I don't have time for that. But anyway, nice to meet you. We exchanged the numbers. And then we went out like a couple of days after for coffee. We became friends. And then I don't know, again, something switched in my mind. I was like, okay, Ale, give it a try. Just have her training you for, let's try. But I hate the idea to step into a gym. I hated the idea of like showing my body into a gym where everyone is like super fit. And it was discomfortable for me. So luckily, this girl, Tiffany, she has a home gym. And I was like, okay, so you're training me at home? Yeah, I can. And then we started, and it was October 2022. when we started. Now I work out twice a week. I only do weightlift, no cardio, no nothing. 40 minutes on Monday and 40 minutes on Wednesday. And in 9 months, I lost 11 kilos, 2 sizes, and I'm in the best shape of my life in my 40s.
I know.
So thanks, Tiffany. Thanks, Buddy, for reacting so well. I can't say I love working out. I don't. I still don't like it. Just like to be clear, you don't need to love something to get the result that you need to do, but you need to love what you see after. So when I look at my body and I'm so proud of like wearing a top tank or like being in a swimsuit, I still hate workout, but I love what I'm seeing.
Yes.
So show up, keep doing it until the point you are happy what you're seeing or what you're achieving. Don't give up just because you don't like it. You probably will never like it, but you like what's happening in your body. I have core, Kat. I never seen my core before.
That's amazing. I know you sent me photos and I was like, you look like a freaking goddess. Like your body is so beautiful. You always were beautiful, but I could see the work that you put in and I'm like very inspired. And I know that that's something that I'm going to be giving some time and energy to hopefully sooner than later, because, and that's another question I have is, what's so cool about that manifestation was that you didn't even have, well, maybe you did, but it didn't sound like that you had a vision and that was something you were going for. It's almost like it just came right to you. So I find that to be very interesting as well, to the listeners to just be really open to what the universe is delivering to you through your relationships, through friendships, through being inspired by seeing something that comes into your reality. It's not even that you have to do the work to call that manifestation in. Sometimes they really do just fall on your lap. And then that's when the work starts. Then there's the choice to do it. Then there's the commitment. Then there's the consistency. And those things are actually magic, you know, and we look at them, right? We look at them like, ew, but and it's, you know, what's even more interesting is it doesn't even require you to change your entire life, right? Like it sounds like you just started wherever you were and you just took the next little baby step and then started gaining confidence and then being willing to try more and more. And then now I'm assuming it's just a habit. It's just a lifestyle.
Yes. And, you know, I think there is, you're right. The thing normally come to you when you do maybe that first little step. So for me, joining the group on Facebook was something that I've never done before. It's not part of me like joining a group of perfect strangers and like, but that step allowed me to go to the next level where things came to me. So it's still, I think it's still required that you do something, because if you sit in a corner just waiting for something to fall on your lap, probably would never, nobody ever like knock on my door and like, oh, do you want a job?
Right.
Like, no. But if you do this, like any kind of like small step that put you out of your comfort zone, that is the point when then you will receive that help.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
You don't even need to go out in the street and say, oh, do you want to be my friend? But like, you know, social media today, they help. Yeah. And it's easy because it's like click, okay, join. And then you see what happens.
Yes, I completely agree. I had a similar experience, much more in the digital space of, gosh, before you and I met, I was such a different person. And like, it's actually a miracle to me that I have a podcast and I'm willing to be seen, you know, on social media, because not that long ago, just a few years ago, I wouldn't turn my camera on my Zoom when I would join community calls. I would never talk. I was just kind of the fly on the wall. But what was so interesting is, I agree with you. It's the second that you change your energy even just a little bit and step a little bit out of your comfort zone. And it's just like turning a dial, and you try one thing and you're like, okay, I can do that. I can handle that. And then you keep going And again, it's consistency. But I think the other key is the immersion of being around like-minded people, like being around people that inspire you and being around people that are showing you that your life can change and it can be what you want. And I think you and I had met right around that same time that you had just met these girls and you were letting me know like that there's some new activity. And I just saw like all of the lights come on and all of these changes so quickly. So I think that's such a good reminder for me and for anybody who's listening is that, again, it's not leaping off of a cliff, but it's like taking the next right step towards whatever feels good.
Yeah. And at one point, another personal suggestion, at least this is what happened to me. You will reach a point when you need to do a very attentive selection of who you want in your life. So now I'm 40 and I have met a lot of people in these 40 years, no? And I still have very good friends from my teenaging day, like from my very young age, but like only few.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I move in all my different steps, so my different like a part of my path and my journey, I am always more and more selective of who I want in my life. So I always say, and sometimes it sounds egoist, but like if you can bring something to my life, if you can add value to my life, then I want you in my life.
Yes.
If you drain only energy from me and like you don't really bring anything, you don't add anything on the table, I don't have time. I'm sorry. So be selective of who you have in your inner circle. You can know and you can have fun with thousands of people. But when it comes to invest your time, which is limited, unfortunately, and when it comes to exchange energies, try to have someone, let me say, who is better than you. Someone that can give you instead of like someone that only wants to drag energy from you. This doesn't mean that you need you have to be an opportunist, like to take advantage of other people. But I try to have that kind of good vibes and positive thinking and like-minded. And I found this, I'm very proud and happy because I have like this group of 10 women that I love so deeply, and we are like here to support each other. And I'm alone here. I'm just a single girl in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I need to build up this like chosen family.
Wow, that's so cool. And thank you so much for what you just shared. I would say that is the number one tip, you guys, energy management. And I think that, you know, we are, as many cultures, we're very like conformed to a certain way of thinking, which is consumerism. And if you really look at that from an energy perspective, what does that mean? That means that you're kind of a taker, like you're constantly taking energy into you. And unfortunately, I think the masses are in that mental space right now, a lot of fear and a lot of taking of energy. And there does come a time in our life where we have a choice to shift how we show up. And I know for both of us, we've made the choice to be creators and producers and to give our energy. And that's like probably, I would say, the number one thing as far as how I witnessed my life change is as soon as I stopped being in fear and taking from others and instead finding how I can contribute and give, that's when my world changed. And I started attracting other people that were that same mindset. And then I started becoming extremely aware of the energy transactions that were occurring. And it's not always comfortable. It's not always comfortable to let those relationships go. But I think for me, it was a necessity. And for you, I think it was as well. And then the good news is eventually you find that group and it just starts expanding. And then your whole world starts becoming filled with like-minded people. And you're so far from being alone on your journey. And to be around people that are just uplifting and supporting you being the best version of you is so key to all of this. So I know we're going to be wrapping up in just a little bit, but I wanted you to share about, the horses and how sometimes our manifestations, you guys, it doesn't have to be about beauty or money or accomplishments. Some of the most powerful manifestations of our life are the ones that bring us pure joy and remind us to celebrate play and fun in our lives. And when you told me about this and you sent me photos, I was like, okay, I really need to get my health on track so I can be back on a horse because it's so life-giving. So share a little bit about that manifestation.
Yeah. So I always had a passion for horses. I always rode horses. And when I was in Italy, it was my passion. I was never a professional, but I always liked to enjoy my time with horses. And then I moved to Thailand and I couldn't find a stable here for the first almost 4 years, let's say. I found some places, but horses were so skinny and I didn't want to pay money for that way of dealing with horses. It was completely ugly, unfair.
Yeah.
So I gave up for a while. But then I saw a friend of mine posting a story of his daughter riding a fantastic horse in a beautiful place. I was like, where are you? Oh yeah, here in Chiang Mai. It's you go there, and there. Because this place is brand new. They opened a year and a half ago.
Amazing.
So I was and my eyes started to blink, yay, yeah, finally. So I went to visit this place and this beautiful lady who is the owner was like, wow, yeah, I'm so happy that you can ride with us because actually I have many horses that need to be ridden and nobody is able to do it because they're ex-champions. They're difficult horses because she has students, but they're kids and they can't really ride these kind of horses with specific needs. So I started and I had to rebuild all my skills because it was 10 years not riding.
Yeah.
And I did all these 1,000 steps backward. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. But in the meantime, I was starting also to work out because it was already almost at the same time. So my body was stronger and it was quite quick to go from the almost zero the first session to be able again to control the horse and don't die after 10 minutes riding.
Yeah,
be there.
It's a workout.
Basically, the workout was helping the horse riding, but the horse riding is also helping the workout because it's my cardio. It's the only cardio I do.
Yep.
Okay? So it's a perfect combination. So I started with one lesson per week, one session per week with one horse. But then I was like, I want to ride more. And then now I'm doing twice a week with 2 different horses that I'm training both of them. And they're training me because, they feel when I'm in a bad mood and they feel when I'm tired and they help me. They help me either to take out all the energy and come back to my normal level of energy, which is normally very high.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they just well, girl, today is not the day, so let's chill. And we just walk. So it's fantastic because with both of these babies, I established this fantastic connection. We understand each other. And from what my coach told me, these 2 horses, they pick who they want to have on their back. If they don't want you, they let you know.
They do.
And no, horses are beautiful souls. They have a way to communicate in their eyes. Oh my God. When they look at you in straight in your eyes, it's melting.
I know.
So this was the last, let's call it the last piece of the puzzle to make my life. I can't say perfect. Nothing is perfect. You can always improve. But at this very moment, there is literally nothing that I would desire more to have a passionate, fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And of course, I want space for something more in the future. But for now, it's I feel I kind of check all the boxes.
Yeah. And from the outside in, it is so exciting for you to like reflect back to me how much more I can dream about. Because even though I got really good at manifesting certain things in my life, there were so many other things that I was not considering. And watching you just commit and go for it and send me photos and updates, I'm like, oh, okay. And it actually has really changed how much time and energy I spend and my thoughts and imaginations and intentions around calling those bigger things in, because I got to witness you do it. And I think that's what I love about the format of this podcast. And that's the intention here, is to introduce the audience to people like you so that they can have a connection to somebody, a real person, like somebody who they can relate to. And they really feel like if you can do it, they can do it. And so you are such a bright light of hope to me, for sure, and to anybody who's going to watch this and just be reminded that all it takes is those few things, is that vision, the choice, the commitment, and the consistency. And I guess even just like knowing where you're going, being open, trying new things.
Yeah.
So before we close out, let's just say for anybody who is listening and they're in that spot of like, maybe life is kind of crumbling around them, that maybe they're feeling not aligned with the relationship they're in. Maybe they're not feeling aligned about the work that they're doing, the country or state they're living in, the people they're living with, like anything. And it's starting to get difficult and it's starting to impact their well-being. What advice would you give them? Almost like, what advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Yeah. I did this exercise with myself. I did like this. I wrote a journal about like, okay, what should I do to my young self? Thinking, remembering that moment when I was like in my super low down moment, when I was like thinking I want to die. So I will say that nothing is bad as it looks. Never. Like there is no way that you will die because of a breakup. Sorry. There is no way you will not find a solution if you are broken in terms of money. If you are smart enough to like look and open your mind. Like, don't think that you are like on the lowest point of your life and nothing can change.
Right.
There's no such thing. There is no way that you don't have another chance, because the chance is something that you build up when you decide to stand up. So you want to grieve and you want to cry for days, months. You want to think about like the worst situation ever. Oh my God, why I'm so unlucky. Do it. But then you have to know that this will not last forever. There will always be a way to change. You don't have to change everything at once. And my suggestion, do not change everything at once, because it's too much. And as soon as you start feeling the first checkbox, and this work, okay, then you are ready for the next one. So just think about little breadcrumbs that you have to collect until you reach the last point. Don't think that sometimes having the overview is fantastic, especially in business. Sometimes you need to have a good overview, but sometimes it's better if you look step by step. Just try to stay small, as we said also for the, doing steps back. Do a step back before like doing a step forward, because sometimes you need to do a step back, because then you have a better view of what's coming in front of you. You have a different view. This is also something that comes from my mentor. You need to do a step back if you want to look forward. So step by step, don't think that you are the most unlucky person in the world and that probably you will die tomorrow. It's not. Like, whatever you are facing, you take your time for grieving, because you need it. Your heart needs it.
Right.
You create your own awareness of what is happening. And the best you can do is to learn from what's happening in your dramatic life and convert it in all the energy you need for the next step.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the best way to approach whatever is happening. And I can tell you, you will look at that moment like the best part of your life when you reach the next step, because it's like it was the reason why you moved and you changed. Otherwise, you will stuck there.
Yes, I know. It's like, thank goodness it gets hard enough to get our attention.
My breakup, I was like, I want to die. Oh my God, how can I live without my boyfriend? And now it's like, oh, thank God. Because if I look at him now, it's like, he's not even like my type. And he was like a broken guy. He was not for me. And the universe knew.
Yeah, right. I know that at one point you were offering like consulting or some services to anybody who was looking to either travel to Thailand or relocate. So if that's something that you're still doing, I would love to share your links.
Yeah. I'm doing this because I love this country so much. I love Thailand. And Thailand is always considered a sort of Luna Park for tourists. Like everyone thinks about Thailand, like not really for all the natural beautiness or for the culture. Everyone, at least in Europe, in Italy, they consider Thailand a place where you go for fun. Because there are a lot of places like Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket that are pretty famous for having a lot of clubs, nightlife, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's not true. Thailand actually has fantastic places to visit and discover, and still hidden gems out of the touristic space. So the intention behind, because another tip, when you do something, do it with intention, not just because like it comes to your mind. The intention behind what I'm doing is like, I want to offer to my fellow connationals, like to Italian people, the chance to travel to Thailand, not as a tourist, but as a local, like as someone who wants to experience the real Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Instagram page, I have a blog, and I'm happy to receive requests to have a tailor-made, customized itinerary to travel through Thailand that will be done by me with all the like personal connections and all the experience I have now for 6 years. So you will have all the list of the best restaurants, the best hidden spots, the best local services that you can reach out instead of like going to a taxi that will charge you 10 times more. All these little tips, and everything is based on what the customer wants to achieve. If the customer wants to spend a whole week on a beach, lying on a beach, fine, I will find the best beach for you. But if you want to go trekking, if you want to go rafting, if you want to go do paragliding, I have all the connections, local connection, and the intention behind it to give you the best experience possible in Thailand, because I want to bring this different way to see Thailand into the Western world.
Yes, so perfect. So I will make sure to add any links in the description box below so people can reach out and get in touch with you. And I'm telling you, you guys, you want to know this girl. Like, she will change your life, even if she's just creating an itinerary for you to come and visit Thailand, to like open up your heart and open up your mind and just see what is possible. Maybe you just need a minute to like shake things up, or maybe you need a minute to breathe and just take a break and rest and remind yourself that we live in a beautiful universe that was made to please us. So yes, anybody who wants to connect with her, please do. And I have a feeling after talking to you on this call, Ali, I mean, it is so crystal clear to me that you are a manifestation teacher. In like, however that presents itself in your future, I would absolutely send people to you, because I know that you know what you're talking about, right? You live it, you breathe it, and you have formed your entire life to reflect it. And it's such a beautiful gift that you have. So I'm really looking forward to where all of this goes for you. And just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show. You are actually my kickoff guest for the entire Manifestation Experiment series. So, of course, it worked out that way. So, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you.
Because again, we're like 14 hours difference. So she's spending her Sunday morning, her precious Sunday morning with us. So I appreciate it so much.
No problem. I really enjoy spending time with you, no matter what we do, if it's work, if it's chit-chatting, if it's like talking about whatever. So it's beautiful to spend my Sunday morning with you.
Okay, good. I know. I love you so much. And just a quick wrap up, you all know that the show is, what the intention of the show is to really bring possibilities to life and remind ourselves how to dream again, and then how to take those dreams and pull them into reality. And so we'll be covering so many different topics. If any of you are watching and you've had some sort of a transformation in your own life around any of the topics that we cover, please reach out to me and let me know if you would like to be on the show. I would love to have you on. And then I'm going to make one quick announcement. I don't know if I told you this yet, Allie, but I'm going to be hosting a free 3-month beta for anybody else who's feeling called to start their own podcast. I just know, so I will be sharing that probably in the next few weeks. So just want to let everybody know, including you, whoever's interested, it is open door, and we're going to go through like a 3-month container of just walking through all the pieces of getting things together so that we can start getting more of us off the sidelines and more of us into these like networked communities of people that are sharing their visions and sharing their truth and supporting one another. So I'm really excited about that next step. But we'll go ahead and sign off. Do you have any final words for our audience?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Kat, because everything you start as a project is always like so intense and so full of intention and motivation. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored to open kickstart all the format.
Yes.
And for the audience, just follow this girl because she will give you a lot of value. She will add a lot of value in your life. Yeah. I love you so much.
I love you too. All right. Well, thank you everyone for spending your precious time with us. We appreciate it so much. And we will see you guys in the next episode.